Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about the new Zootopia film, Zootopia 2. This is a film that took almost 9 years to get made. It's the long awaited sequel to that 2016 film that we all really liked from Walt Disney Studios. This time around, we find Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde from the first film. They're now partner cops together, they work together as police officers. And this time around, they're taking on a case where a reptiles have been banned from Zootopia for a really long time at this point in the film's storyline, both in this film and in the first one. And basically, this reptile, they have to prove that he's innocent. They have to help this. It's basically a snake that they're helping out. His name is Gary the Snake, I should say. It's a DE in front of the snake part. And they're trying to basically prove that reptiles once roamed free in Zootopia. They were going to try to expand it at one point, and there's a special type of patent document that they're trying to help Gary find that will prove that snakes owned a certain part of Zootopia and that they were trying to expand it, and there was even going to be like this huge clock tower and all this other stuff. And so basically, Nick and Judy have to go on the run for a while though, because Gary the Snake is not um, he's not innocent at this point in time in the story. And so basically, on the news, that they basically play it out like they're fugitives, that they're not the real police officers like they were at the beginning of the movie. And so over the course of this film, they have to prove that Gary is innocent. They have to prove that this patent document does show that reptiles were once a part of Zootopia, that they had this ownership and this expansion plan that was going to help Zootopia grow even further. And so they also have to get it off the hands of this Lynx family. There's like a cat Lynx family that is trying to get a hold of it and trying to put their name on it instead of the snake family. And so this all happens over the course of Zootopia 2. But overall, guys, I really like this film a lot. This is a great sequel. This is a great movie. For those who have been just dying for another Zootopia film like I have, I think you're going to be very happy here. It almost has almost everything that you would want from a Zootopia film in it. Um, there's just a lot of things about it that are really admirable. It's a lot of fun. It never feels boring either. It really is a film that has something fun going for it almost every frame that it's on screen. And it's just a really terrific film that I highly recommend that you see. But for my positives and negatives of Zootopia 2, like I just mentioned, this really is a great sequel. It really is a great continuation of Nick and Judy's storyline that they had from the first movie. It does show kind of their growth and their challenges as partners. It does show kind of the challenges that the two of them have been facing and have been struggling with since we last saw them in that first Zootopia movie. Um, it also goes to show that there's other new characters that they're incorporating into the mix. So it's not just the older characters returning. We are getting new characters this time. Gary DeSnake is a good character to basically add to the group if they're going to try to aim for more like of a big group angle, like a big ensemble piece for their next Zootopia film if they decide to make a Zootopia 3. We also follow this beaver character. I think her name is Nibbles Maplestick. And so she kind of is aware of all the snake conspiracy stuff going on in Zootopia. And so she's a fun addition to the movie. She basically has access to certain places in the Zootopia world that most mammals and other creatures don't really have access to. So basically, Nick and Judy, you borrow her and her time to basically make sure that they can have access to certain walruses, certain reptile bars, and all this other stuff that she's aware of. To basically help them figure out the case that they best they can. And because she is Nibbles Maplestick, as I believe her name is, like I said, she's able to kind of chew through things and can make keys and do all this other stuff that can help them get out of really tough scenarios. So very fun character. Like I said, it's a great sequel. It does a bunch of new stuff while also continuing all the stuff that you love from the first one. And I think that's what a good sequel really should be doing. The film also has a great musical score. Michael Giacchino returns for the score in this movie. Great score once again. I really like his idea of kind of using like household utensils and other things that aren't traditional instruments to make the score of the film. He did that in the first He did that in the first Utopia film as well, if I can talk right. We also have Shakira making an original song again for this time around. I think her song is called Zoo. I want to say it's called. So great musical score from her again too, and yeah, just a great musical movie. If you love the music of the first film, I think you're really gonna like what they did with the music in the second film too. And then for my next positive point, there's tons of several really funny moments in the movie. There's just tons of times where Judy and Nick get into a scenario and they really don't know what they're doing, or they really need help from somebody, or they really have to just kind of go with the flow. And just the way that certain scenes are handled is really funny throughout the movie. It's almost kind of like a laugh a minute kind of a comedy. If you those who have seen comedies where it's like there's a laugh almost every second that you're watching it. So I do like how almost every frame of the movie had a really funny moment going on in it, and so the humor throughout the movie I thought was really well handled this time too. And like I mentioned earlier with Judy and Nick's friendship as cop partners, I like how the film does dive into the growth and the challenges that they have faced, that things that are working well for them, that work really well while they always are kind of teaming up for stuff, but the challenges that they face, how they kind of they're not really that great individually doing things, that they really kind of need each other on things that maybe they probably need to do better as individuals. So I do like how the film does tackle their growth and their challenges as characters, and things that they could probably work on as buddy cop partners to improve on future missions if we see them in a Zootopia 3. And I also overall really like the Gary DeSnake character addition. I thought he was very good in the movie. Um, I thought his sense of humor, what he brought to the movie, what he brought to the story, kind of the tragedy of reptiles in Zootopia and how they've been kind of mistreated all these years and kind of really have lost this opportunity to basically do something for Zootopia that's going to help it out. So very fun character. I like the addition of Gary DeSnake, that Ke Huy Quan from The Goonies voices in this movie. And overall, too, I think this is a great buddy cop story. It's a really fun buddy cop film. So if you like films like Lethal Weapon and all that other stuff, it does kind of have that quality to it. It's very fast paced, very quick. The characters have little quick they have little quick little one liners that get them out of certain scenarios and stuff like that. So it's a very good buddy cop story that really flows well, and I just really like that angle of the film too. I also like a lot of the settings of this movie. I like the Marsh Market and some of these other settings. I know we get to go back to Tundra Town the way that we did in the first movie, but the Marsh Market and some of these other places that we get to go see in this movie are also a lot of fun this time around. So if you liked the way Zootopia looked in the first film, a lot of these new environments, ooh, sorry, my voice. You'll like the way a lot of these other environments are played out and explored the way that the first film did it too. But for my negatives of Zootopia 2, unfortunately, it's not as deep or message filled as that first film. So it's one of those things where the first film was able to tackle things about race and tackle things about, um, you know, mammals going savage. And the first film almost was kind of aware that um, these characters were animals and that there's certain things that about an animal's past that might work their way into the future with, predators and prey and all that other stuff. And unfortunately, this time around, we really don't get a lot of that this time around. It really is mostly just the buddy cop angle of Nick and Judy going on another mission and all that other stuff. But unfortunately, it's just not quite as deep or message filled, or using animals as the metaphors and the messages that they were depicted in the first movie. So I really was kind of too bad. I really liked how deep that first film was, and I really would have liked to have seen a sequel kind of explore that stuff the same way that the first film did and be deep and message filled and not just about the humor and all that other stuff. So that is one aspect from going from Zootopia 1 to the new film that I thought didn't quite transition as well. Is I really would have liked to have seen something that felt more deep and message filled and made you think about the stuff that you were watching and kind of make you reflect on your own life. And I thought that's one thing that the first Zootopia film did better than this new film did. Another negative I had with the film was some of the returning characters really don't get anything to do. They're really kind of wasted here. I thought a good example of this was Judy Hopps' parents. In the first film, they're there to kind of coach her and, make sure she's on the right direction. And kind of encourage her to do something else if the whole police officer thing doesn't work out for her. This time around, they kind of show up a little bit for the first half, and then they kind of permanently disappear for the rest of the movie. So I thought that aspect of the story was a little disappointing. I really would have liked to have seen an angle where if you're going to bring back Judy Hopps' parents, do a little bit more with them than just a quick little 2 or 3 minute scene near the beginning, and that we just kind of never hear from them again. So I thought that aspect of the story, and unfortunately, it's not just them too. There's some other returning characters that really don't get a lot to do in this film. For me personally, I'm a huge fan of Flash the Sloth. He really isn't in the film very long, but it's one of those things where I was really happy when he finally showed up in the movie. But there's other things like that where you'll get like a returning character show up for just a couple minutes and then they just kind of disappear forever after that. There's also really no like DMV scene replacer moment like the way the first film had, because I know in that first film everybody loved the DMV scene, how it felt very accurate to the real life DMV, and how that's where we got to meet Flash the Sloth and all that. There's some funny moments in this movie, but there's no moment that's kind of the new DMV scene. There's no scene that's as humorous or as more humorous than that first DMV scene was. So I thought that was a little disappointing, is even though there is a lot of funny moments in the movie, unfortunately none of those humorous scenes come as close as that DMV scene from the first film. So that is a disappointing aspect, because there's no like definitive comedic moment that the film provides for this time around, unfortunately. And overall, too, some of the newer characters were a little boring too. There's like a new horse mayor that's supposed to replace the J.K. Simmons lion mayor, and I thought he was kind of boring. There was a couple small moments where he gets a little bit of humorous moments to shine, but not really. Patrick Warburton from Family Guy, who voices Joe, he voices the horse in this. Paul Burt was another one too, where they do a lot of stuff creatively with him throughout the stories. It's like, oh, that's the direction you're going to go with him, and they kind of start out something interesting with him, how he's different from the other Lynx characters, but then they go a direction where it's just like hundreds of movies have done that with this kind of character so many times. And so it was just one of those things where when the big reveal happens with him, it's just a little disappointing. It just feels like something you've seen from hundreds of other films, and it doesn't really add anything to this film in particular. But overall, I'm going to give Zootopia 2 a 9 out of 10. It's a very wonderful film. There's tons of things to love about it. It's a great continuation of that first Zootopia film. But like I said, negative wise, it's not quite as deep or message filled as the first film. And there's some other things like the returning characters not getting much to do. And there's no like DMV scene replacer moment. And there's no, like I said, some of the newer characters were a little boring this time around too. But overall, like I said, 9 out of 10 for me. Highly recommend seeing it. If you're a huge Zootopia fan, you got to see this film. Zootopia 2 gets a 9 out of 10 for me, and I highly recommend it.